Explosive Werewolf says here, do you think Venom is going to be rated R? I heard it is going to be rated R. I heard that they're going for R rated on this one. Personally, I felt it had to be with Carnage, knowing how crazy he is in the comics. If they fuck up Carnage, they'll hear about it. The thing is, look, what you guys have to understand is this. Venom 2 and Morbius are quite literally going to be what separates, like what solidifies the Sony Pictures Marvel universe of, like, isn't it like, no, Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters. The stupidest name we could ever think of. But remember, they're going to run parallel to the MCU, right? With like touch points. So we know that there's going to be some connections. Obviously, Victor Toombs popping up in Morbius, that's a touch point. You know, the connection is there. We know this. And they want to make it work. And Feige, I think, is at a point now where he wants to also make it work. And that's going to be a big thing. So going forward, yeah, I think it's going to be rated R. I think Sony's going to be okay with that more violent side of things. And I'm hoping that when they do R-rated Venom 2 or they do some R-rated shit and it pulls in like $1 billion or it pulls in a lot of money, it will nudge Feige to start really exploring the darker side of the Marvel characters. Like, there's no reason why Blade should be PG-13. I'm sorry. There's no reason Blade should be PG-13. Blade should be rated R like its parents. Anyway, real quick here, H-Bar, I saw you, buddy. Thank you very much here. It says, whatever happened to Woody's Ronald McDonald hair? They cut it. If you've seen the trailer for Venom 2, you've seen that Cletus Cassidy went from having that Ronald McDonald mop top to something a bit more, I want to say it's a bit more hillbilly. It's a bit more business up front, party in the back, kind of slight mullet thing going on. But all things considered, it's yeah, they cut it. They cut it. That's all right. That's all right. I know you feel about Grace, but aside from that, she said that she heard Morbius was bad. Does it matter really? A lot of people said Venom was bad, still pulled in 860 million, right? A lot of people have grown to kind of like Venom. And there are a lot of people out there that right now are kind of digging on what Sony is doing more than Marvel, because Marvel comes across as homogenized. It's one persistent universe. They're designed to look and feel a certain way. Sony's kind of out there in the weeds, kind of doing their own thing, and it's pretty chill. So we don't know yet. We've had one movie in this whole universe sort of thing, and who knows? And maybe Jared Leto knows Morbius sucks. That's why he's wanting to get back over to being the Joker. You know, maybe he'll get more respect now that there's a regime change over there at Warner's. Min says here, I honestly don't want this adjacent stuff. I would be 100% fine with Venom being part of the MCU, full stop. I think it's going to get there eventually. But what we're talking about here is corporations, the vision of Kevin Feige. All right, so his singular vision has made Marvel the number one, entertainment property in the world, even beating out Star Wars. And we know Amy Pascal wants to tap into that because her legacy is tied to Spider-Man. So the thing is like they have to find a way to make it work. Feige understands that Spider-Man is the key to a large part of the MCU's popularity and longevity. Spider-Man is the number one merch mover for Marvel, has been for years. Now, Disney does have the rights to that back. They actually, and this is again something that like you never hear about. But when Sony was in some financial trouble, so Marvel sold the rights to Columbia Pictures for Spider-Man and those like 600 characters in that universe when they were in financial dire straits back in the late 90s. Then you go forward to like 2011, and Sony is in like, again, they're in their own financial problem, and they work a deal with Bob Iger to more or less like flip on some rights. So the way it works is this: Sony, when we say Sony owns Spider-Man, what they own are just the distribution rights to those characters, right? So when they make a movie, they still have to license those characters from Marvel. They paid for the distribution rights, okay? But they still have to give Marvel money when they want to make one of those movies. And so in this case, I don't know how much money it was, but they also, not only did they have the distribution rights, they had the merchandising rights to those characters. And that's where the money comes. That's where the real money comes in. So Disney, having purchased Marvel in 2010, wanted the Spider-Man merchandise rights, but they didn't have it. So when Sony wanted to reboot with The Amazing Spider-Man, they didn't want to pay that licensing fee to Marvel. So Bob Iger called them up basically and worked a deal as just a straight trade. Sony wouldn't have to pay Marvel for any of the future movies, right, to license those characters. They wouldn't have to pay Marvel any money up front, and Disney would get the merchandise rights to Spider-Man. At the end of the day, those merchandise rights are a far more lucrative deal for the House of Mouse than just that license payment. And that is something, and you can find that, like Bob Iger talked about that all the way back in 2011 at an investor call meeting. Like there's a transcript of it you can find.